Hello, everybody. Joseph Osco here, publisher of American News Post. We're doing our bi-weekly sports show, and I'm here with Michael Magnifici and Frank Coconati. Before we start, I do want to make an announcement. We have a friend by the name of Donnie Johnson, and he will be joining us, if we could get him by phone, probably toward the end or after our segment, to bring him in as a special guest. He played football for many years, minor pro, and knew and knows quite a few football players, was close with Palmer Pyle. We all know who that is. In fact, Palmer has I think a radio show or some kind of show out in Minnesota or Michigan. He was married.
He was married to JB's daughter. So
right.
Okay, so he does have some sort of recognition
right.
in that respect.
Right.
You could go on about that if you would like to. That's up to you.
Yeah.
So he was Tony Accardo's.
Well, yeah, that's who. That's
who Palmer Power was. Yeah.
That's who he was. He was married to Mr. Accardo's daughter for a period of time, and then she married another man.
He played for the Bears. He was
the Bears.
He was the Bears. Yeah, the Bears. He was a.
He had a brother, Michael, too, didn't he?
Yes.
Mike Pyle.
Well, I heard
yeah,
him.
Right.
He was a good center, I think.
Good center, yes, absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
Well, why don't we save a little bit of this for later? We could talk now about some current things like last night's games. Michael and Frank, why don't you take it?
Well,
what do you want to start with, Mike?
I start with San Antonio. I mean, just how they just totally obliterated Miami Heat. You know, they beat them by, 30-something points.
Yeah.
Whatever.
It stunned a lot of people, especially when Miami came and beat them the day before.
Right.
They, I think, took a 2-1 series lead.
Right.
Right.
And now here it is. It's Miami. No, they didn't take a 2-1 lead. They took a 1-1 thing, and now San Antonio has a 2-1 lead.
Really? Actually, I didn't even know that.
And San Antonio has a shot at getting tomorrow night a 3-1.
Yeah, that's all right. I believe you. I mean, I don't need
they have a shot at getting a 3-1 lead, and the thing is that anybody that's ever had a 3-1 lead has never lost a championship.
In basketball.
Right. They've never lost that.
It's hard for me to believe that they got him in a corner like that. What do you think it's been? You just...
Here, LeBron James, who is the greatest player on the planet, without a doubt. He is the greatest player on the planet. What he has done, he has facilitated to be a passive player.
Right.
He is, pass the ball off to everybody.
Right.
He's done all of that stuff. And that's just LeBron being LeBron. See, Jordan, you know what Jordan would say? They had, I watch a lot of these things, and they would say about Jordan. Jordan would say, you know what? I don't want to facilitate the ball to anybody else. You're not making the shot. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take 1,000 shots in the game. I'm going to shoot. I'm going to take 40 attempts, 50 attempts in a game.
Right.
That's what Jordan would do.
And if you get a rebound and score on it,
that's what Jordan would do.
Right.
And that's what made him the greatest player of all time. That's why I always say, I've said it in front of you fellas, all the time. Mm-hmm. I have said, who's the greatest player? Michael Jordan is.
Yeah.
Michael Jordan. Because he does do that. And he does not facilitate that part of his game to say that, hey, you know what, you can't make a shot. You know what I'm going to do? I got to go and make these shots.
I'm going to shoot.
I'm going to shoot.
And that's the problem with Miami is LeBron wants to bring his teammates into the game, or he doesn't want to be hogging the ball?
You know what? LeBron James is the greatest player on the planet.
Right.
Without a doubt.
Right.
I will not, deviate from that.
Right.
Deviate from, that perception of him. He is that person.
Right.
But I don't know if he's not Michael Jordan.
Right.
He does
The
not
confidence,
have,
maybe, or is it just the intensity?
he doesn't have it. He doesn't. He has to. He feels like he has to
pass it around.
Pass it around. Do all of this.
He does got Bosh on the team and
Dwayne Wade.
Dwayne Wade, he's been having a bad series, right? He's disappeared.
Michael Jordan had Scottie Pippen.
Scottie Pippen.
That was it.
Yeah.
I mean, who had Luke Longley? He had all these.
He made the rest of them good, because they were nothing. They were
nothings, is right. Michael Jordan had nothing.
What's the term? They were nobodies. They'd go from team to team. They were like gypsies, them guys.
They didn't have anything.
Right.
They didn't have anything, and Michael Jordan was, without a doubt, the best player in NBA basketball that there ever was.
Could Miami come back?
Sure, they could. They win Game 2.
Right.
They tie it up.
They're in Miami. I think they're in Miami. Let me double check. Can I double check that?
Sure, you can.
Yeah. Let me see here. There's they don't have it in this thing here. But I think they're back in Miami, and Miami could just win that.
I mean, that's
because it looks like Miami always needs something to spark them, to light them on fire.
Right. And what I believe is that I believe San Antonio has the obvious.
You mean the talent? Teamwork ethic.
Yeah.
They have been playing together for years.
What you just said it. The team ethic. They
Right.
have the team ethic. That they could be that team that could do that. They are, they are mobile that way to do that. And I look at it that way.
You want to talk about the Hawks, or you want to just you're still with your prediction though? San Antonio's going to win it.
I definitely, I do think San Antonio.
Antonio's going to win
it.
it.
I think that they are.
You'll make a lot of people happy because for some reason Miami seems the most hated.
Well, we're Chicago people.
Right.
Okay. Joseph is. You are. We are Chicago people, and we believe. We don't want to see. A Michael Jordan legacy.
Tarnished. Right.
Tarnished. Get. And I don't believe that. So of course I'm pulling for San Antonio.
Right.
Of course I am. I mean, because
like the Miami Dolphin fans never want to see an undefeated team because the Miami Dolphins undefeated year.
Hey, you know who comes on all the time is Mercury Morris.
Yeah.
What does he do? He says, "Well, you walk onto my block." What does he say? He says, "You walk onto my block. Let's see what you can do."
Right.
And you know what? He's been right every time because every time that New England Patriots 18-0, Joe.
Okay.
They lost.
Yeah.
They lost to
the Super Bowl.
The Giants. They lost to the Giants.
I mean, come on. All the money was with.
All the money in the world was on. Come on. The Giants were a huge. I mean, New England was a huge favorite.
A huge favorite.
And they lose.
Right.
They lose straight up to
it stunned everybody.
I mean, you're right. It stunned everybody. It stunned me.
It stunned me myself. I liked the Giants. I liked how they were rolling. You know what I mean?
I did too. I could see them doing that, but I just didn't get that. On that particular day, that was something to me that was, a little.
All right, listen. Now let's move on to the Hawks. You're picking San Antonio. Now, what did you watch the game last night?
Yes.
How many games?
Triple overtimes.
Was it 3 games?
I was up all night. Watching it. That's why I'm a little, little tired today.
Oh yeah, I mean, God, everybody was celebrating.
But you know what? What I said about the Hawks earlier. Here you are wearing a Hawks jersey.
Right.
And you're obviously a Hawks guy.
Oh, I love the Hawks, but I still think Boston's a better team.
But the speed of the Hawks just makes me it gets me to where like the speed of them just like sooner or later gets to the other team.
Right.
you know.
Yeah, and you're right. I got to agree with you because they don't let up.
They don't.
And they're in great condition, the Hawks. I mean, I thought they would look beat. Everyone looked like they were dragging.
No.
And when Boston went up 2-0, I said it's over. They're gonna take the Hawks.
And what happened?
They came back.
They came back. And how did they come back? With the speed of them. The speed of
Getting
them.
by the checks, moving, outrunning them. Yeah.
They outplayed them. They just did everything. The Hawks are they're a better team. So I think the Hawks are gonna. I don't know. I mean, honestly, I think Boston is gonna win the next game.
Right.
I think they will.
Yeah.
I think they will do that.
It's Saturday. Saturday's the next hockey game. There
right.
I know for sure.
I think that it's gonna be a 1-1-1 go back and forth type thing. It's gonna be one of those deals. I think the Hawks are gonna win it.
Yeah.
I think they will.
Yeah.
I think they're gonna. I'm going. You're wearing the jersey.
Jersey, right?
I'm with you. I'm with you on that.
And Crawford, the goalie with the Hawks. I mean, he was outstanding. There was some luck there.
4-3 last night. That's you don't give up 3 goals. You don't do that, and that's something Crawford. Don't think that he's sitting there like. He's sitting in his locker room and he's going like this here. I gave up 3 goals.
Holding his head, covering him.
Yeah, exactly. He's
covering his face with his hand.
Yeah.
He's not rubbing his head.
Right.
You say he's not. I agree with that. Mm-hmm. Why don't we try to get a hold of Donnie now? And if you because I think
Donnie is a well-known fella.
Yeah.
To have an insight about sports.
Yeah. But do we want to talk about anything as far as golf goes before we get him on the horn?
Well,
anything today?
Golf is.
There's nothing started yet, right?
Right. They're doing everything to try to do out there in Marion, and what's happening out there is they have a tremendous amount of rain and stuff that
so it slowed up
it's slowed up everything. It's doing everything to compromise the golf course.
Yeah.
And they don't have anything going on. When these guys come out there, the course will be playing well for them.
Yeah.
It's going to be better for them, but it's they're going to get stoppage in the rain delay because of the conditions of the golf course. They're going to do it. Marion is a golf course it's a very forgiving golf course. It really is, but it's not very forgiving in the fact that the way the greens slope, they slope. I mean, it's like this table that we are sitting talking on. You could roll a ball off of here and it'll roll off the It's just ridiculously difficult, and what's going to happen out there with this rain delay? It's going to make it easier for the golfers. It's going to make it easier. Now, do I think that Tiger Woods hasn't teed off yet? I think he's going to have when he does tee off. I think that. If they allow, play to go, I believe that Tiger Woods is going to have a great spot, because he's going to be playing on a soft golf.
Right.
He's going to have, everything he needs, and that's going to be a great thing for Tiger Woods. Tiger Woods, without a doubt, is. Let me say this, fellas. Tiger Woods is the greatest player to ever play the game. Jack Nicklaus is the greatest player. He won 18 majors. Tiger Woods has won 14 majors. Tiger Woods got 4 majors to go to tie him. He's got 5 majors to go over him. Jack Nicklaus, what nobody realizes, the thing that Jack Nicklaus has, Jack Nicklaus has 19 seconds. Do you know that 19 seconds? He took second place 19 times in the major championships. Okay, that means that he was there. That means that that was a putt that he lipped out.
Right.
You know,
Or what it's almost double the amount.
Right. It was just so unbelievable what Jack Nicklaus did. 19 seconds. 19 seconds. You cannot, I can't, I'm sorry for overextending my mouth by saying that, because I was I'm a golfer my whole life.
And a good one.
I played at a certain level, and I never once, Jack Nicklaus was, without a doubt, the greatest golfer that I ever saw. I never saw anything. And when I watch, the U.S. Open is our national championship. That is our national thing. Although I do the Masters, I told you guys that on our first day of doing this. The Masters it's my thing. I love the Masters. I love that golf course. I love everything that they do about that.
Which golf course is that?
That's Augusta.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I actually have a friend that golfs there. I have, thousands of people have golfed there, so I'm not trying to impress anyone, but I do happen to know. In fact, you know him. I guess a friend of mine. Now, getting back to Donnie, I think our sports piece is sort of covered because we just talked about the only action going on, which was yesterday's games, and now Donnie, who's only I shouldn't say only, he's a minor league football player in the minor league Hall of Fame, which is impressive. Was very close with Mike and Palmer Pyle.
Right.
We know Palmer Pyle was married to Linda Accardo, Mr. Accardo, who Michael and I know, and I think you probably do too, Frank.
I just know of him.
Know of as JB or Joe B.
Yeah.
Joe B. and my uncle Romeo were close friends and had some shares of ownership in Gold Seal Liquor with a few other people, Ben Felicio, and I think Jackie Cerrone Sr. might have had some kind of ownership in
Gold
it.
Seal, yeah.
And
no, you're absolutely right.
And Ben and well, anyway, Donnie's father was Al Capone's bodyguard. And that's
the truth.
Yeah,
that happens to be the truth.
His father, everyone in the outfit called him or knew him as the Swede, and he was actually with Al when he died.
Right.
What was it? Palm Island or something, or Palm Beach?
Palm Island, Florida.
Or Miami? Was it
no,
Miami?
It was Palm Island, Florida.
Yeah. Well, wherever it was in Florida, Donnie's
Palm
father.
Island, Florida.
Yeah.
Palm Island, Florida.
Was with him, and Donnie. He grew up with Paul DeLucia, or A.K.A. Paul Rika's son, Paulie Jr. I think Jack Cerrone's son, Jackie Jr. was one of the younger ones. Tony Jr., Joe B's son, and Donnie grew up referring to guys like Joe Ayupa, his Uncle Joe, was close with him, very close with him, and his dad.
Joe was. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
Joey O was a Caponite.
Right.
You know what I mean by that?
Yeah.
A Caponite. It meant that he was one of the Capone.
Yeah.
He was one of the Capone guys.
Yeah.
He was with that.
Mm-hmm.
You go right ahead.
Now, I think, if I remember the story correctly, Donnie's father was possibly locked up with Louis Campagna many years ago.
Louis. May I interrupt you?
And that's who pulled him in and put him with Al.
Louis Campagna.
Campagna.
Louis Campagna was. Louis Campagna became the boss after Al.
Mm-hmm.
And Paul. Paul was, right there with him.
Like his underboss.
Right, and when they had that thing that went on with the Screen Actors Guild.
Oh, right, yeah. Yeah.
They armed the Screen Actors Guild. And
high off, be off,
right. Willie
thing.
be off.
Yeah.
They armed that
right.
that union. They did that, and it was Paul and it was Louis Cabay, and they were the ones that were they took over out
Mm-hmm.
and Lucky, who was who I have said a million times, that was my idol
right.
of all time, because he was Jack's idol.
Well, Donnie tells some interesting stories about how when he would be in Barron Springs, Michigan with his father, in fact, his father used to send him out to Lou Cabegna's farm out there. He and his wife Charlotte owned a farm out in Barron Springs, and Donnie would go out there as a little boy. And I remember one of his stories he shared with me that he couldn't find his way back to his bedroom at night. He went into Frank Nitty's room. Frank was out there. There was a big powwow out there. A lot of different capos were out there to get orders from Lefty or Lou, whichever you would call him. And little Donnie Johnson at the time, went into the guest room that Frank Nitty was sleeping in. And Frank said, "Donnie, what are you doing?" And they brought him back to his room. But the other interesting part about Donnie Johnson, like you, he was brought up in the outfit and brought up in knowing the hierarchy of the outfit. A little predated from you because he's much older than you.
Obviously.
And but you come to know each other through the same through the same reason.
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
right.
you had exposure, one-on-one exposure with Mr. Ricardo, Mr. Ayupa, as did Donnie, and I think you met him through the Cerrone family.
Exactly.
Yeah, but Donnie Johnson is a very religious man, and he's a good Catholic. Aside from being,
I am too.
Yeah. Yes. Well, Donnie he goes to church every Sunday.
I do too.
And Donnie introduced me to Bishop Timothy Lyon here in Chicago. When Donnie was a little boy, he lived in Florida during the winter and in Illinois during the summer. When he lived in Illinois, he was going to St. Mary's School in Riverside, Illinois.
Was made at? Jack?
I'm sorry?
I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah.
Jack was made in a church.
Mm-hmm.
He was made in St. Vincent's Church.
Where, St. Vincent's?
St. Vincent's, that you grew up in that neighborhood.
Yeah.
You went to St. Vincent's Church.
Yeah, I've been there. Oh, I've been there, right?
Yeah. He was made the basement of that church.
Me.
Yeah.
Well,
that's a very interesting piece, and I thank you for that. I know that you had you confided that in me a while back, and I appreciate you sharing it with Frank. And that's a very interesting piece about St. Vincent's, and you're referring to the one in River Forest on North Avenue.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's what Jack was made at.
Yeah.
He told me that.
Right.
And that wasn't like something that I heard from, like several other fellas.
Yeah.
I heard that from Jack.
The church
it's on
made Alvin Moss?
Of course not, Frank. That's where he was made in the church. It doesn't mean
he's a preacher? He was made a preacher?
Yeah, he was made a preacher, and then an archbishop, and then the Bishop of Rome.
He was there too?
Yeah,
he was.
But going back to Don for a second, before we get him on the phone, a very religious man. He was the one that introduced me to Bishop Lyon. When he attended school in Chicago, he attended school in Riverside, Illinois, which was St. Mary's Parish. And Father Lyon, I think he was working there before he was even a priest in 43. Then he was ordained in May of 43. Right before he was ordained and just helping out in the parish, the pastor got a phone call that Frank Nitty committed suicide. And Bishop Lyon...
You know why he committed suicide?
Yeah.
Well,
but no, go ahead.
He committed suicide because he brought Willie B off.
Mm-hmm.
And he And there was no way in the world that Frank Nitti would take that type of torture that these fellas would do to him. He, blew his brains out. He just, said, fuck this shit.
Well, they were going to kill him?
Oh, sure they were. Sure they were. There was no reason in the world for them not to do that to him. And he knew that. And he went out by the railroad tracks.
Well, I mean, that would be a mean thing to do so they don't torture him, right?
So, right. And he did that.
Well, I think it would be a man thing to do to be tortured.
Right. Why would you want that? Why would you want
tortured?
I wouldn't want that. Yeah, I wouldn't want that. No, I wouldn't want
to be tortured like Butch Petroselli and them, I'd kill myself.
Well, that's the cowardly thing to do. The manly thing would be to take it like a man.
I think the smart thing to do.
Okay, well, that's different. Now you're changing the words.
The difference that you guys are talking about, the Butch Petrosellis and those guys, they did things that, Tony Borsellino.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Now this is what I have heard.
Right.
This is just something I've heard. I don't know if this is true or not. Whether this,
No, listen, this is your opinion.
This is just something I've heard.
Something he heard. It's not an opinion.
Yeah.
It's not my thing. Tony Boris, he talked about Sam. Said something about Sam Giancana. He was in the joint with him, and Sam, was getting, he was getting, they were in, they were in the, lockup in 26th and Cal,
right.
Shit, and Sam was getting, getting steaks ordered in there, and this and that, and getting this for the whole, the whole crew of guys. They were there and Sam.
Just like the movie Goodfellas, right?
Right. You're getting all that crap,
right,
and Sam's getting all this shit, and he's telling Tony, he says, you do this, you do that. He says, hey, your number's the same as mine. You don't fucking got no way.
You don't tell me, right?
You don't tell me shit. And Sam didn't, go for that so much. And now, Sam, you got to understand, Jack did not give a shit about Sam at all. But Jack, what Jack did? Jack respected boss's boss.
Right.
He respected that. He respected that Sam was the boss. And, and you don't do that. You do not disrespect the boss.
Right.
And Jack got pissed. So in late 70s, when Tony got whacked, it was because of that Jack, was a boss, that he says, fuck this guy, fuck this motherfucker, and he did it.
Wow. Wow.
That's just the way, things went. That's just the way things went back in those days. It was just
respect, I guess.
Well, Jack had respect for boss. Boss is boss, and you don't do that crap.
But it was just something simple as him making a comment and disrespecting Giancana.
You don't do that.
Right.
You do not do that. Frank, let me explain something to you. Let me explain this to you. Jack might have been the guy, he couldn't stand Sam. He's the one that caused his murder,
right.
Okay? He caused his murder. He didn't give a shit. But you don't fuck with the boss.
Right.
You don't do that shit.
Get the title, right.
You got the title, that's it. You don't do that. And that's how Jack was. And Jack wasn't about to let a guy, sitting there in the joint and say this shit. You know what I'm saying, Joe?
Right, yes.
You don't say that crap about a guy. You don't.
Because there was all kind of talk about Tony, about him being the next guy in Vegas.
Now, let me just back up about when Tony Borsellino was murdered. Why is it that you feel he was murdered?
I just told you.
Because Mooney?
Well, no, it was because of Jack. I believe.
Okay, I misunderstood it. Let's clarify something. I thought you meant that Jack wanted Jack was responsible for Mooney's demise.
He was.
Okay, and Jack was responsible
But he
for...
would not be, Jack would not, you could not, Jack was such a responsible person, okay? You know what I'm trying to say by that? Such a responsible person, he would not let a boss ever be disrespected in a prison.
Okay, now you talked about Borsellino and Mooney being locked up together?
Yes.
And Borsellino told Mooney off or something, put him in his place.
You said you don't give me orders.
You don't give me orders.
Yeah.
Your number's the same as mine.
And you're saying that, now who had him killed for that?
Jack did.
Okay, all right. Because I was wondering, because I know that Borsellino was murdered a few years after Mooney got killed, so it didn't make sense the way I was processing
it. No, processing it is this, is that Jack had no great feelings for Mooney.
I know that.
But he certainly did not want...
He was a company man with the outfit.
You do not do that to the guy.
Yeah.
You do not, Frank's the guy, you're the underboss.
I have a question for you. A very close source to Harry Alleman once told me that Harry believed that Borsellino was killed because Butch Petrocelli Butch wrongfully blamed him for something.
That's what I heard, the same thing.
What do you, could part of that...
Bullshit. Butch,
you're the expert here, over Frank and I, so I believe what
not
you're
true.
saying.
Not true. Jack, I'm telling you why Tony got away. He talked, he said, who the fuck are you in the joint? And Jack I heard that from guys that were major guys. Okay, I won't name those fellas. Okay, if you guys don't mind me not naming those fellas.
I know there's certain people you won't name.
I won't name. And he said,
it was the disrespect that Borsellino showed to a boss. Made Jack believe this guy was a loose cannon and he had to go.
He had to go.
Yeah, and even though it didn't happen immediately after it happened, it happened.
Was Jack looking for an opportunity to really enforce it?
Here, let me explain something to you explain something to both of you fellows about Jack, which he knows a whole lot more than I know.
You're pointing at me?
Yes.
Okay, I see.
Jack was a guy that he delegated a ton of power. He could do anything. Okay, he could wipe you out in 2 ticks. And Joe always reminds me of my saying 2 ticks. He could do that. He could do that thing to you. Now, what Jack would do, he'd wait a little time. He'd have, fellows like my father and, fellows that were
close to your father.
Close to my father, right.
We won't name names.
No, we're not naming names.
No. We're talking about deceased people.
You're right. And he would have those fellas do these things, and they would do them. And they would get it done. You've done it, lickety split, like you could, you could, like fast as could be, you putting that on this piece of paper here, and me and Joe and you, and we go and do this, and a week, we get it done. That's how things will go.
Right. Now, I have, let's get a hold of Donnie does not like to participate in conversations like the one that this turned into, so we'll bring it back to sports for Donnie.
Absolutely.
Yeah, if we could even get him. Let's see, I'm going to try him right now. He's has some phone issues in Florida, but we'll see if we can get him. He's good at answering usually.
State your business.
Donnie?
Yes.
Donnie, it's Joe. I'm here doing the American News Post sports show. I'm with...
Are you doing the sports show now?
Yes, I'm with Michael, our friend, Michael Magnifici,
Oh, yeah.
and another guy, Frank Ocanati, who you'll meet.
Hello, Donnie.
Who's chanting?
Michael.
I just said hello, Donnie.
And Frank, you could say hello.
Hello, how are you?
Who's this?
Frank Coconati.
I don't know you.
A lot of people don't.
Okay.
So, Donnie, did you see any of the games last night?
I watched a little bit of the hockey, most of the hockey game, yeah.
What did you think of it? Did you watch the whole game? I tried calling you around.
No, I fell asleep a little bit, but then I woke up and I saw when they scored that in the third period, when they scored overtime.
It was third overtime, Donnie. This is Michael.
Huh?
It was in the third overtime, my friend.
Yeah.
I didn't hear you.
Donnie, it was in the third overtime.
I can't understand what you're saying.
He just mentioned it was the third overtime.
Into the third overtime, I know that.
Yeah. Don, what about, we had a conversation earlier about hockey, and you mentioned that the 6 original teams in the league were Toronto.
Yeah, Michael should know those.
Yeah, what?
Ask Michael who they are.
Yeah, Donnie wants you to name the 6 original ones.
Blackhawks, Boston Bruins, Pittsburgh Penguins. Jesus. Donnie, help me out
He's
here.
hesitating.
I am hesitating.
Montreal.
Montreal,
Montreal what?
Detroit, Canadian, Montreal Canadiens,
Rangers.
Yeah.
and the
other
New York
one?
Rangers.
And the Blackhawks, too. Were
Well, yeah, that's why I said that was my first one.
yeah, I'm saying.
Did I get
How
it
many
right?
teams did he name?
What?
Joe, how many teams did he name?
I think 7. I don't know.
There wasn't 7 in the league.
Yeah, there were 6.
6 in the league.
There were 6.
Donnie, I'm sorry. I'm not as smart as you.
Give me the names.
Well, okay, I think he said Blackhawks. He did say
Yeah,
Detroit,
No.
St. Louis Blues.
No.
No, St. Louis Blues.
Here, you ready, Donnie?
Frank's going to get in on it.
The Chicago Blackhawks.
Yeah.
The Detroit Red Wings.
Yes.
The Montreal Canadiens.
Yes.
Toronto Maple Leafs.
Yes.
Boston Bruins.
Yes.
New York Rangers.
Yes.
That's it.
Yeah, that's 6.
That's good.
I love hockey. I love the thing.
Now,
You what?
Donnie, why don't you flex some of your muscles about the earlier teams with the Chicago Sox and the Chicago Cubs?
The Cubs. He knows the Cubs. When did the Cubs? When did they last win a pennant?
1000 A.D.
No. When they won the National League pennant.
Oh.
When they won the National League.
I know. Do you know it? 93?
94.
Huh?
Was it 90?
94.
Okay.
Donnie, I was at the game in 94.
45.
45.
I want the starting lineup. I want the 3 pitchers.
Oh, God. It's the truth. I don't have that, Donnie.
Robin Roberts?
Oh, he was with Philadelphia, Robin Roberts. Rapid Roberts with Philadelphia. Come on, Michael.
I don't have that, Donnie. I just said I don't have
45.
that.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you a starting lineup. At third base, we have Stan Hack. At shortstop, we have Bill Jorgensen. At second base, we have Don Johnson. At first base, we have Philip Cabaretta.
Wow.
In left
Donnie,
field,
who
we
was
have
the
Peanut
69
Lowry.
Cubs? Donnie, who was the 69 Cubs?
Listen to me. In left field, we have Peanut Lowry. Center field, we have Andy Pasco. Right field, we have Bill Nicholson. And behind
Wow.
Donnie, you know that Phil Mickelson owned in Bensonville. He owned a sports shop.
Yeah, I went there.
Phil Mickelson owned a sports shop. And you know what? A friend of mine, Donnie, listen to me.
You had Big Bill Lee with a pitcher, and you had Claude Passaw, and who was their other guy?
That I don't know. I don't know any of who you're talking about.
They played the Detroit Tigers. They lost in 7 games.
Donnie, Phil Mickelson, he owned a sports shop, which Frank knows.
I don't care if you own the world. You played right field. They call him switch.
Well, you know what they called him? Strike three. My friend we used to drive by the drug. We used to go buy all our sports equipment from him, and you know, because he had the most strikeouts. He had the most strikeouts in major leagues, in the major league history. And we used to drive by there. We used to go strike three because he had the most strikeouts.
He was built. He looked good.
Oh, he was a monster. Yeah. He was a monster.
And how about what was his name? The guy that
Donnie, who threw the longest ball here? Donnie, you know sports. Listen to me. This Michael May. Who threw the longest ball from left field to home base to get out Reynolds? He got out Kenny Reynolds.
Who are you talking? I didn't get the question.
Bo Jackson. Bo Jackson threw it from the warning track all the way home on a strike to the guy to get the guy out. He boom, done, over. That was Bo Jackson.
Bo Jackson, you remember him?
Yeah,
he was the greatest athlete. Remember, he crawled up the wall in KC. Come on, Donnie, you know that. You should know that. He was the greatest baseball athlete of all time. If this guy played double sports, he played football and baseball. If this guy
Bo Jackson did that.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you, Donnie.
Hey, who was the best, Donnie? Stan Musial? Or Ted Williams? Stan Musial or Ted Williams?
I like Stan.
Huh?
He likes Stan.
He likes Stan. What was the number?
Donnie, who was the best? Babe Ruth was the best of all time.
That's the question.
Donnie, who was the best of all time? Babe Ruth was the best. Who had the best batting? Who had the best batting average all time, Donnie? 343, 346.
You don't listen. What's Stan Musial's number?
13.
6.
I was close.
6.
Okay, go ahead. Who had the best numbers? 8,000 at bats, 714 home runs. Babe Ruth, 343 batting average. Come on, Donnie. You tell me that guy is not the. You tell me that Babe Ruth is not the best player of all time.
Babe Ruth was very good.
Why won't you say?
How about Joe Pepitone?
God, he was a shit.
He was Italian.
He was a drug head.
Hey, I liked his hair.
Yeah.
Hey, Donnie, who was? Okay, Joe DiMaggio without a doubt. Joe DiMaggio without a doubt was one of the best. But the Mick, how about the Mick? Joe, Donnie, how about the Mick? How about the Mick? The Mickey M.
Mickey Mantle?
There you go. You tell me that he wasn't the greatest of all time.
He wasn't the greatest. Mickey Mantle wasn't the greatest. Mickey Mantle, what happened with Mickey Mantle? His leg gave out.
Yeah.
He drank all the time. He was a drunk. He fucking drank all the time. He was like Michael Magnifici. He drank every single day of his life. Come on.
Who do you think was the best?
Well, Hank Aaron was very good.
I agree with that. I did.
Yeah, he was.
Danny, I agree with you because you know what? He hit 714 home runs, and
who hit 714?
Hank Aaron.
Hank Aaron did.
Who hit 714?
He's right, watch. Hank Aaron.
Who hit 714 home runs?
Hank Aaron did.
Who?
Hank Aaron.
He did not. Babe Ruth did it.
How many did Aaron have? 728?
763.
Huh?
763.
What?
What did Hank Aaron have? 760. I mean,
He had more than 714. Hank Aaron.
723.
Babe Ruth had 714.
743. I know. I don't know the exact number.
Donnie.
Yeah, you laugh. You know, Donnie, you laugh. You know. Listen, I could beat you in every fucking sport you could ever play in. You know that?
He just challenged you, Donnie. He said he could beat you in every sport you could play.
Really?
Yes, he said that.
All right. Here, I'm gonna give you a trivia question.
Go
Who was
ahead.
playing center field when Johnny Pesky made the hesitation throw to the plate when Slaughter went through the sign?
No clue. You got me. You got me. You got me, buddy. You got me.
Dominic DiMaggio was supposed to be playing that day.
That was Joe's brother. Oh my God. You're right. You guys, I did know. Jesus, I knew that.
We gotta put this guy.
Yeah, Johnny, you knew that. Oh my God, you knew that.
And Slaughter went through the sign. They had a hell of a
Donnie,
sign.
you had that. You had that one. Man, you had that one. That's right. I do know that. Jesus Christ.
And Slaughter went through the sign. And Pesky made the hesitation throw to the plate. Johnny Pesky in the World Series in the 7th game.
Wow.
Hey, who threw the ball from right field?
Huh?
Who threw the ball from right field? Okay.
No, it wasn't thrown. It was thrown from left center.
No. Listen to me. He threw the ball from a step or two from the right from the warning track. A step or two.
What?
He threw the ball from a step or two from the warning track, and he didn't get the guy out. The guy was on third base. He ran down, and he came back, and he didn't get him out.
He did not.
It was Roberto Clemente. Roberto Clemente threw a dart.
Roberto Clemente wasn't even playing. This is the 1946 World Series.
I'm talking about the 70s. I'm talking about 1970.
When you talk about one thing and do another.
Danny, where are you going with me? I'm in the 1940s. I was born in 1962, for Christ's sakes.
I can't help that.
Oh, my God.
It's not my fault.
Donnie, I saw Roberto Clemente. I went to 1,000.
Roberto Clemente, that's a whole different story. Roberto Clemente was playing with Pittsburgh.
He was playing.
Who
else was the Pittsburgh? Who else was Manny Sanguillas? Who was Willie Stargell? I mean, you tell me.
Willie Stargell was playing with Pittsburgh.
I just told you. I told you the three greatest players that were with them.
Richie Hebner was
Willie
there.
Stargell was very good.
How about Richie Hebner?
Who?
Richie Hebner.
Oh, just Richie Hebner, yeah. Who hit the home run that beat the Yankees in the 1960 World Series?
Bill Mascarowski.
That's right, you got it. It's Bill Mascarowski, the second baseman for the Pittsburgh Pirates. Very good.
I got assistance on that. Okay.
Oh, you did?
Yes, I did. Well, because I didn't know it. I didn't know it. Obviously, I didn't know it.
Wait a minute, I got a better good one from.
Hello.
Yeah. You know, Donnie, they're using the computer on you.
We're looking up stuff now.
They're using the computer on
right.
you, Donnie.
That's not right. My computer's in my head. I got to finish my
Donnie,
dinner
who was the greatest quarterback of all time?
No.
Come on.
I don't know.
Come on, Donnie.
Sid Luckman? I don't know.
No, not Sid Luckman.
Tittle?
No, not Wade.
What?
Come on, he's Italian.
Marino. No?
No, Marino wasn't. He didn't win the championships.
Who?
Bob Greasy?
No. Who is it, Donnie?
I don't know. Who do you think?
San
Joe
Francisco.
Montana.
Huh?
Joe Montana was the answer to his
I
own.
don't know.
You don't know?
Did he play football?
You don't.
I don't know.
You don't.
Yeah, Donnie.
Donnie played football.
But you knew all the
Let
Chicago.
me finish my lunch and pick me up a little bit.
Donnie, you don't believe that Joe Montana was the
Huh?
greatest quarterback of all time?
Did you hear that, Don? You don't believe that Montana was the greatest quarterback of all time?
No, I think it's a matter of opinion. I don't know.
What's your opinion?
Okay, tell me who your opinion is.
You know?
He's eating his lunch.
I mean, who you want to say? You want to say Greasy, Montana, Marino, those guys? I could, I'll argue with you about them because I think that
I won't argue. I just, let me go. I'm going to go finish my dinner.
Okay, thanks for joining us, Donnie.
Take care.
Bye.
Talk to you later.
Oh, he sounds like a character.
Great guy.
Yeah. Now, how old is he?
77.
Wow.
Well, so guys, are we want to start wrapping this one up?
Yes.
Yeah. Michael, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Even
Mike and Mags, we will continue on Monday after the U.S. Open.
Right.
Yeah,
That'll
that'll
be
be
something that
Monday the 17th of
Monday
June.
the 17th. This tournament has got tremendous rain delays.
Right.
So we're going to be, we'll be
All
watching.
these coast is getting swamped.
Right. We're going to be
Swamped
watching
one or two.
things that we're not. We might be watching this till Tuesday or Wednesday.
Okay.
Whatever. We will be watching it. It's something that we will, get a hold of. And obviously,
We'll talk about it on Monday.
We'll talk about it.
All right, guys. So
Okay.
great. It was a unique piece, a little different from what we've been doing.
A lot of interesting
but
things were brought up.
I think part of it is because of certain members here enjoyed the celebration last night and are still feeling pretty good.
So we talked about the Hawks, the
Uh-huh.
Miami Heat,
Yes.
the church, the guys
The
were making it.
St. Vincent's Church. I'm going to call the pastor of St. Vincent and let him know what happened in his basement this
Yeah, I thought
afternoon.
Governor Quinn went there too.
He wasn't there when Jack Cerrone
I
was
think
made.
it was pretty long time
Yeah.
ago. But with a lot of
What-
interesting things.
What year do you think Cerrone was made in, roughly? Got to be the 40s? The 30s? He was born in 1914.
14.
Probably the 30s. He was probably in his 20s when he got made, I would bet.
I think Jack was one of the youngest guys.
Yeah. Well, Teach was pretty young, too.
Yeah. So,
Maybe 30.
19, right?
Could be 1940.
Yeah.
Moses was there.
Yeah.
Moses.
Yeah.
All right. We'll be back Monday the 17th. Have a good weekend. Happy Father's Day weekend, all the good fathers out there.
Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day, guys. Thank you.
Same to you.
Happy Father's Day, Frank.
Thank you.
And
All the
well,
listeners out there,
yeah.
have a good one.
yeah. All right. Take care.